welcome back to another new edition of Windows on Current Affairs. And today on the program, we're going to be talking about youth participation in the developmental process and also in political life. Of course, we have just almost finished with the runoff of the parliamentary elections, and of course, the runoff is continuing abroad. But at the same time, it has been a good experience, and we have observed a second phase and a session of democracy when it comes to people participating their political rights. And when we talk about people participating their political rights and their participation in the process in general, we should also always remember youth, because youth are the future of any nation. Today we're going to be talking about youth and their political political participation developmental process, and we're very delighted to be having with us engineer Mohamed Gamal, Deen, and he's member of Executive Committee of Egyptian Family House. Good evening.
Good evening,
Mr. Gamal Deen. And let us first ask you to give us a full assessment of the 2020 parliamentary elections this year. How do you assess it, and how have you seen it? Of course, you come with a very rich political background, and to our knowledge, you are a graduate of the PLP?
No, but I have too many friendships with all the...
And also, no, but at the same time, you have been involved and you have been there ever since June 30th. You were one of the prominent people in the political scene.
Yes, yes.
If you could tell us, how do you compare the political participation of people in general compared to back then, 6 years ago? How have things developed politically?
At first, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about this important file. Of course, if you are talking about the comparing of the political scene for this phase or the before or the first phase of the election, or the political situation in general in Egypt now and from 6 years, it's totally different. Here, if we are talking about the point of difference, we're talking mainly the difference of the opportunity and the big opportunity that the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi got a vision to give a real opportunity to the Egyptian youth. Egypt got more than 60% of the population is from the youth, and this is one of the advantage of that we have in our country. And this was very clear when President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was talking about the vision of how he can give a real opportunity to the youth, and how can he depend on the qualified candidates from the youth to be beside and very near to the decision makers all over the official institutions. It begins, I think, when 2014, when the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi take the decision and he invite the Prime Minister, I think, Engineer Ibrahim Mahlib, and he take the decision was by the number 15-9 to every minister have to choose a couple of assistants from the highly qualified Egyptian youth to be assistant for them. And after this, it was a very serious decision, and every assistant, I remember, was having a totally different vision for how we can manage every minister, or the vision of the ministry of every sector in it, and how we can develop and how we can change the attitude of the people inside every institution. And this is what the beginning. So bit by bit, we saw the national conference that began after this, which was really a different kind of connection between the president directly to the youth directly. And when it began, it was totally amazing scene for me. So if we are talking about the situation and the difference of the political scene and the situation now and from 6 years or 10 years or even 15 years, of course it's totally different. The Egyptian youth are very lucky to have the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi with this vision, real opportunities all over the institutions, the implement of the ideas of the ideas of the youth, whatever the sectors, in different sectors. It was really it's an Egyptian experiment, and we've been it's I think Egypt now is one of the countries that maybe an example to many countries, that they can put this example upon themselves to reach it. So of course totally different, and this is for the side of the youth. Totally.
Right. How is that parliamentary elections different from the first parliament after June 30th, which is the current one that is almost finished now?
Yeah, at first we have to, we don't have...
Of course there are lessons that are taught. The experience is adding to the political life.
Yes.
Each experience, each democratical experience is different and developed than the other. I mean, there are many assets. I mean, there are many fronts for the comparison.
Yes, but at first we have to, we don't pass by the constitution. When the constitution mentioned the percentage of the Egyptian youth is not less than 25% in the parliament, it was a very unexpected step, and I think it was to put this kind of candidates from the youth in the institution responsible, number one, that output the laws. It was a very unexpected step, and also it was, I think Egypt was the first country to take this step all over the world. There is no constitution mention or put a condition that for when are talking about the percentage, it should be 25% at least from the youth, and also for the women. Okay, so.
If you could excuse me, we're going to go to a short break, and we'll come to continue Windows on Current Affairs with the political participation in the developmental process of youth in a moment, so stay with us. Welcome back, and with us live, still we are live with Engineer Mohamed Gamal Deen. He's a member of Executive Committee of Egyptian Family House, and remind me to talk about the Egyptian Family House because it's very important. It has a great role to play. But let's continue. We were talking about the assessment, how this parliament is going to be different from the first parliament of June 30th, which is about to be finished. How do you see it? What are the important potentials or the most important experiences that were taught and you are looking forward to see it in this parliament?
I'm expecting totally different performance from this parliament, because the percentage of the youth, as I told you, and also a faster performance. The youth always used to make change in the scale of work, change in the also the priorities of the task of the parliament. Of course, we have too many things or too many tasks to put it in the priorities. But I think there's too many very excellent candidates are coming in this parliament. So of course it will affect directly the performance of the parliament in general. Also, I think we will see a kind of different issues in how the committees inside the parliament works. Now we are, for the first time we see a commander of committee is about 31 years. Engineering Ashraf Rashad, he was, and of
34 years.
Yes, 34 years. And he was the commander of the committee responsible about the youth and the sports. So he was, the attitude and the performance of the committee was totally different. Because you are talking about potential character. We are talking about character that
and giving chances to youth.
Yes, of course, because he always he always participate with them. He was always got the direct
He was
connections.
a former member of a political party earlier. We need not
Yes.
to mention the name, of course,
Yes.
without mentioning names. But he was a
No,
former.
I'm not mentioning the name, but I'm talking about experiment. I'm talking about an Egyptian candidate. He was also a leader in
In other words, he was founded politically in the right way, and also.
No, before politically, I'm talking about the university. He was one of the leaders in the youth union in the university. So we are talking about the candidates that they are qualified, they got experience, they can talk by the vision and the tongue of the youth, the Egyptian youth in general. This is what I'm talking about.
Representing youth, talking
Yes.
on behalf of youth.
Yes, and
knowing the issues and the concerns and the interests that might come to how youth are looking forward towards future and everything like that.
yes, and also there was a problem. The problem was that you want when somebody talk about the problem which is related to the youth, he should be aware of all the sides of the problems. So when you are talking about an example, engineering Ashraf and too many other candidates like engineering Ashraf or Tariq Al-Khouli, Mahmoud Badr, there are many, and also the girls and the women. We are talking about like Rani Alwani. She was one of the famous girls in the water polo in one of the famous clubs in Egypt, the Ahli club. So we are talking about different way of specifications for these members, of these characters, for these commanders, for this leadership. So actually they will gonna make a very big difference in the performance of the parliament, the performance of the committees inside the parliament, the shape of laws that they will discuss it, or they will add a value for discussion for the laws in the upcoming 5 years of working of parliament. I'm sure of this.
There has been several programs by the government and even by the presidential leadership,
Yes.
like the PLP and the APLP, which is the African Presidential
Yes.
Leadership Program. Many programs which reflects the great concern of the presidential leadership to qualify and enforce and empower youth through
Yes.
different programs.
Yes.
And even through the National Academy, the
Yes.
courses that are
Yes.
being given, and those youth, they're opening venues for youth to be able to get engaged in practical life, politically, economically, socially, culturally, in many ways. How do you assess these programs, and how do you see these programs affecting the participation of youth in a practical way in life?
The first thing, I think that the problem for the last generations in the past was that they was not feel that they have a serious opportunity from the country to be engaged with the ideas, their visions, and they can be one of the leaders or the management team wherever in the institution, or the ministers, or wherever in the country or in the state in general. What happened when let's at first talk about how the idea came. The idea came by a national conference. It began in Sharm Ismailia, and after this in Sharm el Sheikh, Alexandria, and the people or the youth that were responsible to manage the conference was making a brainstorming with each other. They have the idea. They discuss it with the president. The president accept the idea and support the idea. The idea became a fact now. The fact that we have an academy, national academy. This national academy is related to the president directly. They used to have opportunity for all the Egyptian youth. If you are qualified and you can pass by the exams that you will they will make that you will register to it, you will have a real opportunity to be one of the PLP or the presidential program. So after this happened, now we are seeing assistant of governors, assistant of ministers, and also we have assistant, and this is for the first time from 4 years happened, assistant for prime ministers from the Egyptian youth. We are seeing also the official speakers for every minister is from the youth. So we are talking about an idea. This idea, after we have discussion directly with the president, this idea became real, and after this idea became real, we have I think now maybe the sixth generation from or the sixth stage from the National Academy is will be graduated within I think 3 or 4 months. So how we are requalifications or how we are qualifying our Egyptian youth to be political or sociable, to be how they can be aware of the problems, to how they can manage, how they can have the leadership in these institutions. This experience or this training that they have make a base, a true base that any prime minister, any regime, any system can pick up a very high qualified Egyptian youth to assist wherever or whatever they have the experience. So we are talking about an institution or a system always giving the solutions, giving the candidates that can help the government and can help the system to make the development and to hit the targets that they are planning. Also, we got a plan for 2030 and a plan for 2053. This plan is, we are talking about a very strategic plan. This plan was discussed, of course, with too many sectors. One of these sectors is the sectors of the experts coming from the youth, and they give a different vision for the president and for the responsible about
like
the
consultants.
Yes, we are talking about in the conference of the World Youth Forum in Sharm el Sheikh the last year. I meet too many Egyptian youth that they are working abroad outside Egypt, and I was really proud of them. They are in positions and in titles in multinational companies and in multinational institutions, political, economical. They are can support their country, and they are coming, and they have really willing to support their country with different ideas upon their education, upon their qualifications, and here's the point, that we had a government, a prime minister and president here very quite well to them. So if we are talking about in general, comparing the last period with the period after 30th of June, of course, we have a real opportunity for the Egyptian youth. We have, I'm talking here about, of course, the men and the women, the both. Also, we have one of the points that we forgot to talk about, that we are now seeing a governor, a woman governor, and they are different in managing the institutions, and they are very successful
Like
models.
Al-Bahira governor.
Yes.
She was recognized as one of the best governors.
Yes, and one of the assistant of and the White, the one also of the very successful models. Also the assistant of the Minister of Agriculture. She is very promising, and so we are talking about this. I don't want to say renewal, but the assistant of the youth got the energy, the youth got the different vision, and also this because of the President Abdel Fattah Sisi is really he believe in the Egyptian youth. They should have a role in developing their country, and this is not only words, but it's kind of fact. Now we are seeing the Egyptian youth in the parliament, in the minister, in assisting the governors, in a political institutions. I don't want to mention a certain institution or certain party, but I think the youth or these generations are very lucky now, because they have a real opportunity, and the president can hear them, the president can support them. President also changing the definition of the human rights. And this is a very important thing to talk about. If we are talking about human rights, one of the main things in the human rights, for my point of view, if we are talking about the last generations, that they was not having any kind of opportunities to. There is no links, no channels open to. They can talk, or they can discuss with even a minister. Now the Egyptian youth, they can discuss not with the ministers only or the prime ministers. They can discuss with the president himself, and the whole minister, the whole ministers and the prime ministers is hearing, and a president, he believes and support the directions and the visions of the Egyptian youth. So this is one of the kinds of the meaning of the human rights. We are talking about 60% from the society, our society. So this is one of the human rights. Also, we don't forget the human rights meaning is changed by another definition from the President Abdel Fattah Sisi. When he talks about the right of living secured in your country, when we heard, and we were all very sad when we heard the Iraqi girl when she tell us about her experience and what happened from for her family, and it was very
it was touching and
yes,
very impressive.
Yes. So we are talking about, let's return back to talk about youth. Now youth got a real opportunity. This opportunity is for requalification yourself. You can work on your qualifications. You got opportunity to be one of the leaders in your country, but it depends about what you can and how can you provide and support your country. And how was your attitude, your performance in the training, in the academies, in the institutions that can really qualify and give you a fair opportunity. So we are talking about really different situation before 6 or maybe more than, I think from my point of view, this is the best period that the Egyptian youth have in the last 50 or 60 years.
What do you think are the main challenges that are awaiting the future leaders? I mean the youth. I call them the future leaders. What are the main challenges that are posed before youth right now? In spite of all the gains, in spite of all the enforcement and the support by the presidential leadership and the government, still there are challenges. There are world challenges and environmental challenges and political challenges. It doesn't have to do anything with the country, but there are challenges.
Yes.
Very serious challenges. Do you think they are qualified enough to be able to overcome it? I mean, let's talk about international political challenges. The changes, the political changes that could be accompanied by the political changes in superpowers like in the United States,
Yes.
like in the Middle East, like in the Middle East policy and everything. Do you think they're up to it? They could be qualified enough to cope with it?
Let me see it from another point of view. Egypt now is one of the Egypt returned back to the nature of the role of Egypt in the Middle East and all over the world. If we are talking about about the role of the Egyptian youth and the challenges that they are facing, I am in my point of view, the main challenge for this for the candidates especially in the government, that they have to pay for the citizens back an invoice they are not responsible about. They have to solve problems for maybe 30 or more than 30 years of I'm not talking about not the expected attitude or performance of institutions. By means, if we are talking about the governors, every governor have special circumstances or localized circumstances. Like Alexandria, we have a problem of infrastructure facing the rain, the changing of the circumstances of the weather. So this infrastructure is accumulating process of works. Now, if we are talking about we need to put the responsibilities on these candidates for the infrastructures, for maybe the problem that they are facing, I think it will not be fair from our side. But the citizen always need to the 100% of his right and the best performance he can achieve. So I think there will be a little bit.
You mean to say that citizens are very demanding?
Yes, of course. And this is not in Egypt. This is in all the world, in all the countries.
They pay their bills.
Yes.
And they would expect.
Of course, but there is, I think, in Egypt now there is high expectation in all over the sectors. So we are talking about everything, the scale of work of the government and President Fattah Sisi and the Egyptian youth, that they have the responsibilities in the institutions or in the ministers or the governors. They are working. I know they are my friends, and I can see and know very near to them how they work. Maybe they are working more than 18 hours in the 24 hours.
Right, of course. But it's the same thing everywhere. People pay their taxes and they pay their bills, and they would require services. Most of the people, they do not understand the challenges that are meeting the government and the difficulties and all the hurdles that might come in the way.
So this is the challenge number one, the awareness of the citizens. That don't expect from the institutions or the governors or the ministers what they cannot, or they don't have budget for it. So it's a matter here after Egypt from 2011, and after we still till now, Egypt is facing terrorism and operations, and we are facing too many
Too many challenges.
obstacles in our runway. So not only challenges, it's an exceptions. We are building our country, and we are facing terrorism. It's very difficult situation, and what happened in the last 6 or 7 years is unbelievable. What happened in all the sectors. If we are talking about the health, if we are talking about the infrastructure, we are talking about the new cities, if we are talking about everything, all the files are open. We have got a president is working on everything by himself, and he is auditing and monitoring everything.
Exactly.
And he got an assistance from the youth. They are working and got a vision, different visions. So if we are talking about anything you can talk about in Egypt, got a difference, very big difference in performance, very big scale of work. They are running on the scale for achieving the targets. So the first challenge for me is the awareness of the citizen and awareness of the Egyptian people all over Egypt to know exactly what is happening and expect what they have to expect. Not to have very great expectations, which is because we are sometimes we are talking about dreams, not the facts. So we have to talk about facts, not about dreams. The achievable targets that we can hit, or the achievable targets that already happened. Now we are talking about if we had the percentage was more than 38% for the people who were dying because of the accident on the roads. Now we have about 70% from this number deducted. So this is one of the benefits of the infrastructure. We have to talk about this. We have to, and also of course, this is one of the major role of the media. The media got a very important role to do this role to increase the awareness of the people of what's happening, because one of the concepts of the President Fattah al-Sisi is working by neglecting himself and what he is doing. There is no, we got a very different kind of government and president that he is not marketing in a political way himself. He's only working on his believing concept and beloved country. So this is the role of the media. They have to explain to the people, explain to the citizen what happened and how was the change, where was the beginning of the point, and where we are standing now, and where we are going in the next 5 or 10 years. Because every year and year we are in a progress. What happened, the pandemic of the COVID-19, and what we faced, the performance of the committee of facing the pandemic was that the attitude and performance was better than countries that they got the circumstances of the economical issues for these countries is definitely more perfect than Egypt. But Egypt, the performance of the facing the pandemic was definitely
better than
excellent,
anywhere
better
else.
than anywhere, maybe than in the countries in Europe that they have
And
the
the United
facilities,
States?
or the United States, as you are telling us. So we have to when we have the candidates and this leadership from the youth. And of course the different performance of the government, we have to appreciate this, because we are in all of us in one side facing terrorism. So this is one of the very important challenges from my point of view. The second challenge is remaining in the standard of the performance, the best performance that we have in this period, because it's a matter of the cooperating of the different institutions, the executive institutions with the with the parliament and how they can this cooperation can make a fast performance for the government and for the responsibles and for the ministers and for all the leaders to develop these institutions and to achieve their targets that they have in order that we can the plan of 2030 be completed in its time. So I think this is the second challenge that they have. For talking about the region, one of the successful issues that happened that the Egyptian youth, when they discussed the idea of making the PLP, the African PLP. This is one of the things that already the Egyptian youth started to work on it. How Egypt is almost affects or support all the African countries, and this is one of the steps that let the Egyptian youth be near to the African the African youth in general. Also, if we are talking about what happened also from the President Fattah al-Sisi certainly in the file of health. We are talking about when we have it was one of the very important steps that of taken in Africa is the 100 million healths that we have in Egypt.
100 million lives.
Well,
it was
yes.
applied also in Africa.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time, and we need maybe another episode to be able to number the achievements of the Egyptian administration and the
Yes.
presidential leadership
Yes.
in particular. But unfortunately, we have to be able to end it here. Engineer Mohamed Gamal, Deen, you are a member of Executive Committee of Egyptian Family House. You have to promise us on another visit we come and we should dedicate an episode to the Egyptian Family House.
To be with my pleasure. Thank you, Dina.
The services done by that particular important sector. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And I guess this would bring us to the end of this edition of Windows on Current Affairs. Many thanks to all of you. Until we see you again next week, that's a goodbye.